Spencer, how are you?
Um, I'm okay, thank you, Nick. I'm all right. I have good days and bad days. I think
Yeah,
today's probably a bad day, but I'm just grateful to be able to talk to you about my feelings and what's happened.
sure. I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to coach you today. Okay, so just before we get started, just so the audience knows what we're talking about, you're the Dumpee, correct?
I am. I got dumped, unfortunately.
Okay, so you're 28, your ex is 26. You had a relationship of 3 years, and the relationship ended on the 16th of February 2023. Okay. Okay, Spencer. So I just want you to start from the beginning and tell me what's the problem. How can I help you?
Right. So, I mean, I obviously it's a bit of a cry for help, really, in regards to just a bit of knowledge on how I can get over things. I mean, I've written loads of notes about what's happened and stuff. So if I can just talk to you a little bit about the relationship beginnings and sort of where it fell apart.
Sure. Take your
It was
time.
a
Yeah,
weird one.
absolutely. Go on. Yeah,
So
you
I
go for
mean,
it.
so we met. Strangely, I got made redundant from one of my old jobs, and I needed some money, and this was just before COVID. And we met through, funnily enough, I just had a part-time job in a supermarket, and it's just somebody that I just came across, just doing that sort of job. Um, she took a shine to me. I took a shine to her. I didn't really think anything of it. I'd never really had much luck in love, and then I met this wonderful girl in my eyes. It was an amazing start, and then obviously COVID hit, and we carried on, talking, and it just developed into something amazing. We spent a lot more time together when the COVID restrictions were lifted, and we'd spend time outside of my work. And she'd come into my work, she'd see me there, but then we'd spend time outside of work and stuff together. Um, it was it was typical honeymoon period. We did everything together. We had an amazing bond. We just loved spending time together, going on walks and doing restricted things at the time, but it was still great. Um, we had a Christmas sort of together. She sort of was busy working all through Christmas, so I didn't really see her that much. But the times we did see each other over the Christmas period, it was good. The only thing that sort of was a bit strange at the beginning, but I never really thought anything of it, purely based on the fact that I was loving it that much and I didn't really care, was I didn't really meet her family at the beginning. Her family, she didn't introduce me to them. And it turns out a few months down the line, I kind of questioned her on it. I just said, well, what's the reason behind this? And she basically explained that her family were quite religious. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. And she just didn't, with me not being Jehovah's Witness and she coming from that background, she didn't really know how her parents were going to react to me. She was just a bit concerned and a bit apprehensive about that. So we got beyond that, and I did meet her parents, and everything was fantastic. They made me feel very welcome and warm, and the family life in regards to her family was great. I realised it wasn't really an issue. Me not being from that background, and then I've put in brackets here because, like I say, I took notes. I would say for a long time it became the happiest part of my life. The first probably 6 to 8 months, 9 months of my relationship with her was absolutely incredible. We never argued. We bonded over such stupid little things, and it was incredible. My life was just on cloud nine. I didn't really need to worry about seeing friends because she was my best friend. We had so many common interests. We loved doing so many things together. I was madly in love with this girl. And I just felt like everything I ever wanted in somebody had just appeared just so randomly, and it was incredible. Tragedy did happen in her life not long after all this sort of time period. Unfortunately for her, she lost her dog. Her dog died, but in quite a bad way. So her mum walked her dog along the beach because we live near the sea, and the dog was killed by another dog. It was
no.
killed. Yeah, it was sort of savaged to death by a bigger dog. And
So sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was a terrible time, for her family, and I just remember being like the best boyfriend I could possibly be to her at the time. I loved her so much. I gave her all my love and affection and care, and I just, in fact, I've put in my notes, it sort of brought us stronger and even closer together. It made our relationship even better because of the way I was with her. I was a good boyfriend, and it just became, even better. We went on our first holiday together after this. We went to Mallorca. That was incredible as well. I mean, we did, I say it was incredible. We did have our first real argument on that holiday. And the argument was my fault, and I took responsibility for it. I was thinking I wasn't thinking properly about something, and I reacted in a bad way to what she said, and then I said, "Oh, I can't be doing with this," and I walked away. But instantly, I realised I was in the wrong, and I took responsibility.
What was the argument about?
So basically, she was vegetarian, and we were in Mallorca, and we went to Palma, the capital, and we were just doing some sightseeing and stuff, and we were both really, really hungry, and I said to her, we will get some food. And she went, "Oh, okay." I said to her, right, let's find somewhere to eat. With her being vegetarian, obviously she was limited to where she could go. And funnily enough, we just walked past a KFC. And I said, right, I was hungry, I was hot, it was warm, I wasn't thinking properly. And I said, right, I'm going to get some food from here. I know you can't eat anything. And then she was like, hang on a minute, that's not fair on me. And I said, what does it matter? It was just a quick bite to eat. And she went, no, that's not fair. I went, right, fine, whatever. And I stormed off. And then I realised, hang on a minute, it isn't fair on her. She's a vegetarian. There's other places we can go to eat, And I turned around and I said, I'm really sorry. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm being such an arsehole. And she forgave me. And I took responsibility for it because I knew I was in the wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to happen. I mean, yeah, poor judgment. She called you on it. You said sorry. Happy days. Yeah. So I think that's perfectly okay. So I mean, kudos for owning it.
Yeah, I knew I was in the wrong. The thing was, like, we'd never had these arguments before, and I was in a good headspace at the time, and I was very happy, and I was very sort of confident with everything with the relationship. I knew I'd made a mistake there, and I could take responsibility for my actions. And the holiday continued in a fantastic way. It was an amazing holiday. The best holiday I've ever been on to date, purely just based on the fact that we had such an amazing bond, and it continued to develop our relationship. I would say something sort of did change the dynamic when we got back, but it was something revolving me. So basically, I've always struggled on a personal level with my body image. I'm very sort of like, I don't have a lot of confidence in myself in regards to the way I look. And like my physical appearance is a huge issue for me, like massive. And I sort of mask that and try and sort of cater that sort of issue by exercise. And I do a lot of running. So I'm really into exercise and running. I run every day. And I got injured. I had a problem with my Achilles and I couldn't run. and she ended up going on a family holiday with her immediate family, her sisters and her mum and dad, to Jamaica, and it all happened as they went on holiday, and I was sort of left on my own, and I needed her more than anything, and I was feeling like rubbish because I couldn't exercise, and I was sort of binge eating to try and make myself feel better, and I wasn't doing the right things. I was sat on my own, and I do feel like perhaps this was a little bit of a prelude to the tragedy of where my relationship ended. So my mental health started to go bad. I was struggling. I started to gain weight. I was struggling with my depression. I was still in this job at the supermarket that I didn't really want, but it was meant to be a stopgap, and I continued to do it. But because I was so happy in the relationship, and I met this girl in the relationship, in the supermarket, I didn't really think anything of it, but I started to really hate the job and resent it. And I was starting to gain the weight and feel depressed and stuff like that. And it did create a few sort of arguments over Christmas. So we had our first proper Christmas together. Her family didn't celebrate Christmas because of their religious beliefs. So we had, she had Christmas with my family, but we started to have little arguments a bit. She started to, I've noticed, she'd get a little bit impatient with me about certain things. So she'd like, I'd be so depressed and down in the dumps and not motivated to do anything. And then she would get all frustrated and like, what's wrong with you? But she'd be quite snappy about it. And I was a bit scared to admit that I was struggling with my body image and my self-esteem because I wasn't doing any exercise. I wasn't running. I wasn't feeling very good. And it just sort of kind of moved into 2022, this. And I would say things did start to change a lot. So I was severely depressed, and I wasn't being open about it. I was scared to admit it because I had this huge fear of rejection. Like, I was so scared that she was going to leave me because I was putting weight on, or she was going to leave me because I was not motivated to do anything. I just went within myself, and everything would come back to how I felt about myself. So like, I'd sort of like test her, and I'd say things like, "Oh, you could do so much better than me. I'm fat. I'm gaining weight. Look at me. I'm putting weight on. Look how fat my face is." All these sort of things, and and she was sort of saying, "It's just the way you feel about yourself. That there's something not right. This isn't how you used to feel. The first year of the relationship, 9 months of the relationship, I wasn't like that. There was something that triggered me, obviously the injury and gaining weight and stuff, and it did make me feel like crap. And I did sort of, because she was my best friend, she was the person that was always there. She was sort of my codependent, I think that's the word. I started to sort of, I don't know, use her as like, I don't know how to describe it. So I'd get all in a fluster about things, and then I'd get all concerned. And then it would always be about how I felt about myself. But then she'd have to sort of, pick up the pieces and try and help me through it. And I could start to see she started to get a bit frustrated with this, and she couldn't really deal with it. It was nothing about her. It was about how I felt about myself. And I mean, my job wasn't helping matters. So I said to myself, I'm going to get a new job. I've always wanted to work in financial services, and I ended up getting a job in financial services. I really applied myself, and I thought, right, I'm going to get myself in a better headspace by getting a better job. And I did that, and she was very supportive, and she helped me with the job, and she'd take me to work, and she'd pick me up from work because it was in town and there wasn't anywhere to park and stuff like that. So she was very supportive with that. And then, even though, she was supportive regarding my job and all that kind of stuff, I was still feeling quite bad about how I looked physically. So when I started the new job, I tried to go on a diet, I tried to lose weight, tried to start back on the exercise to try and better my physical appearance. But it worked for a short period of time, but I sort of went back into my old habits, and I was like sabotaging myself through eating too much food and not eating the right sort of foods and all that kind of stuff. And then everything sort of kind of went on autopilot with a relationship. Like there was days where, you know, I'd make excuses up not to see her because I didn't really want to see her because I was scared she was going to reject me because of the way I looked. It was always about the way I looked, how I physically felt about myself. And then, unfortunately for her mum started having issues with her drinking. She started to drink a lot, and it caused a bit of trouble in her family. And there was an incident where her mum went missing, and we had to go and try and find her mum. She went missing all day, and it was on a bank holiday. And I remember it was, you know, it was nice weather, and everybody was enjoying themselves, and we were trying to find her mum and stuff. And I you know, I was still you know, I was there for her, and I thought, right, you know, after this, she was saying to me all these sort of things like, why would you want to stay with me? You know, my mum's, you know, got this issue with drink and all that kind of stuff. And I said, because I love you and you've been there for me. You've been supporting me through my issues regarding my body image and all that kind of stuff. And the issues regarding her mum were okay. I found that, you know, it sort of brought us together again because I was supporting her and she was supporting me, and it was good again. You know, we were bonding, we were watching things on the TV we liked again. And then I remember somebody made a comment about me gaining weight, and it just took me back down to this fear of the way I looked and how I felt about myself, and scared that I was going to lose her. And the arguments started to happen again. She started a new job at this point, and she was developing new friends. I'd sort of given up seeing my friends altogether. Like I stopped spending time with my friends. I didn't see any of my friends at all. And she developed new friendships, and she was meeting new people, and I was too dependent on her. You know, I was very dependent on her, and it was getting to the point where I felt so depressed that, you know, I didn't want to do anything. And we were arguing. We tried to go on holiday to try and improve things. So the arguments continued then on holiday. We had quite a few difficult arguments. One of them was constantly about me. I was asking her to swim away so I could get in the pool because I didn't want to see her. I didn't want her to see me without my shirt on. And then we had a big argument on a day trip. I said to her that I was struggling to be myself now. I want to go back to the way I used to be. I don't know what's wrong with me. You know, I didn't know if we were gonna sort of come back from these arguments on the holiday, and it wasn't a good holiday because we were arguing. And then we get home, and her auntie dies. When her auntie died, she was in a terrible place. You know, obviously, she just lost an important family member, and you know, there was the day after she died, the auntie, she was quite argumentative towards me. She was shouting at me a lot. Understandably, she was in a bad headspace, but I just left the house. I couldn't deal with it. I should have been there for her that day. You know, I should have really been there for her that day. And I walked out of the house, and I went home, and, you know, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think things improved after that. You know, there was an incident. We had our birthdays because our birthdays were only 2 days apart. We went away for them, and we were okay. We were fine. We reconciled after obviously me walking out, and I apologized to her, and I said I shouldn't have walked out, but I didn't know what I could have done. You know, it didn't matter what I'd have done that day. You were just shouting at me that much. You were arguing with me, and the way I was feeling about myself, I didn't know what I could have done, and the only way I felt at the time I could have helped her and myself is just to escape the environment. And then I go back to obviously the fact that we had, the birthdays, but then she had a Christmas party, and she'd become quite close to a guy from her work, and apparently this guy on the Christmas party tried it on with her, tried to get her to go home with him, and after that, I just completely lost all trust in her. Like I just felt like she lost faith in me as a boyfriend. She didn't feel like I was a good boyfriend anymore, and we ended up breaking up for like a day. I said I can't deal with this anymore. We reconciled just before the Christmas just gone. And then I said to her, why don't you, at New Year, why don't you go and see your best friend who lives in Australia just to try and get away, trying to improve things, for yourself, get yourself in a nice frame of mind. You've lost your auntie. We've had a few difficult times. Go and see your best friend. Go and enjoy, a completely different world. I bought her a book so she could put all her memories of Australia in this book. She was booked to go out there for 3 months. 3 weeks, sorry, 3 weeks. And we had a little argument the day before, regarding being intimate. I felt like she was trying to be intimate with me when she didn't need to be. And I said to her, if you don't want to be intimate with me at this moment in time, it's fine. And she said, but I want to be. And I said, yeah, but, I was conscious about the way I was feeling and the way I looked and all that. And yeah, it never truly recovered. She went to Australia. And I found, like, we spoke for the first 2 weeks of the holiday, we spoke every day. And I just felt like it was okay. I felt like when she got back, I felt like the answer to me would make her heart grow fonder. And she was saying all these sort of things, loved about me. There was like, she was away for 19 days. So she had 19 little pieces of paper saying everything she loved about me, 19 different things. The sad thing about it was I never finished the 19 because 2 days before she was due to come home, the 16th of February, 2 days after Valentine's Day, she'd sent me a Valentine's Day card saying how she wanted to spend the rest of her life with me and how she thought that we'd had our difficult moments recently, but we will get beyond it and we will get past it. She rang me, she FaceTimed me 16th of February, and she just basically said to me that she can't be with me anymore. She said she's extending a holiday in Australia. She doesn't feel like she loves me anymore, and she doesn't want to be with me anymore. And she said that she felt like my behaviour was difficult to understand. She tried and tried and tried to understand it, but she didn't know how to deal with it, and it didn't matter what she said or did. She would never have been able to help me. And I do understand that completely because I didn't know how to help myself. I was in such a horrendous state of mind. But then she said, I can't be with you anymore. And I just said to her, I said, okay. And then she said, I'm just going to go now. And she put the phone down and she never spoke to me again. And since that day, I've had such a very difficult 2 months. Because it's just been over 2 months now. I thought I was going to see this girl, come back from Australia, and we were going to rekindle a relationship that we had 2 years prior to what's happened, but it never happened. And the sad thing was, the 19 days, I never got to finish them. I never knew what the last 2 days that she loved about me were, because it was too painful to find out. And I've had breakdowns since then. I've been sent home from work. I am starting to speak to a therapist now to try and get some help, but I have had such a difficult 2 months. I will be honest. I have worked on myself a lot in them 2 months. I haven't contacted her. I've not spoke to her in any way, shape, or form. I've got rid of everything that reminds me of her. I've had to sort of blank everything away. And the thing is, the reason I've asked for this sort of session with you, Nick, is because I have a lot of questions that I want to find out a lot about myself and what I need to do in future to prevent this from happening again. Because, you know, I question, was I controlling? You know, I was questioning things like, am I a bad person? You know, am I maybe a bit of a narcissist? Is the issues that I have surrounding my, you know, body image completely affecting my life? You know, because I was a good boyfriend. My mum has said to me I was a good boyfriend. You know, my mum said I was very loving, very caring. And I just need to find out, you know, from an external source, where can I go from here? What can I sort of do to sort of progress as a person in the future? And I think that's probably everything I need to tell you.
Okay, buddy. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable. Appreciate it. That's a lot. That's a lot to take. Sorry that you've had to go through that. It sounds heartbreaking. It sounds really painful. And look, I can tell you from someone who has suffered with body dysmorphia myself. That's what the condition's called. It's called body dysmorphia. It's hard. I totally get it. Okay, buddy. So we'll get into that in a bit. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. So my first question would be, what do you want to get out of the session?
I'll be honest with you. I want to sort of find ways of being able to cope with what I've been through, but I also want to develop as a person. So if I find something in the future, if I get into a position in the future where I meet somebody new and it's exciting, and I don't make the same mistakes that I've made with this relationship I had, because it was amazing, this relationship, for the majority of it, and I do not ever want to lose that again.
Okay. All right, buddy. So do you want my first thoughts on what you've said just now, or do you want to ask your questions first?
Well, I'll just ask you a few questions, and I just want to sort of know, based on what you've heard there, if there's any sort of I keep questioning, A, am I a bad person? And B, because since I've spoken to therapists and stuff, and I've been speaking to my local GP's mental health nurse and all that kind of stuff, they have told me that I do have body dysmorphic disorder, and it does obviously affect everything that goes on in your life. It affects everything. It affects your relationships.
Yeah.
It affects it affects everything. And
it does.
I want to know, basically, am I a bad person? And is this body dysmorphia the main reason why I keep having difficulty in my relationships with people?
Okay, let me ask you this. So body dysmorphia is a condition. So if you had cancer, would you consider yourself a bad person?
No.
Okay. So it's not a question whether you're a good or a bad person. It's a question, okay, I've got this condition, I've got this wound that I've been nursing. Doesn't make you a good or a bad person. It just is what it is. Now, based on what you've told me, and based on the tone of your voice, and you sound very remorseful. No, I don't think you're a bad person at all. I think you've got some shit to deal with, just like everybody else. That's what I think it is. So now, with body dysmorphia, look, I'm not an expert in body dysmorphia or anything like that, but I have suffered with it. And I'd say probably most people do suffer with body dysmorphia in some fashion. I think it's a spectrum. There's a scale of how severe it is, and I'd say you're on the severe side. And I think with body dysmorphia, I'd say like a lot of Instagram models will get it, a lot of supermodels will get it, a lot of fitness models will get it, because we're tying in our identity to how we look. That's how we're tying in our identity. Okay, so if I look like £1,000,000, if I've got amazing abs and big arms and a big chest, then everything's right with the world. But I can tell you from someone, because my background's in nutrition science, so I can tell you from someone that has been the fat kid. I've been in ridiculously good shape and I've been in average shape. Now, when I was in ridiculously good shape, and I'm talking like 6-pack abs ripped, I was just as miserable as when I was fat, or just like when I was average in between. Wasn't fat, wasn't skinny, just a normal looking person. So the identity is what you're tying your identity to. That's what needs to be looked at, I think, and why you're associating that with how you look. Now, we can get into that in a bit more, but I just want to address some of the underlying issues that you've identified in the relationship. Now, I think this woman loved you very much. I think she loved you very, very much. I don't think she just one day decided to leave. I think it was a build up over time, and I think she was fighting to the very end, where she got to the point, just right, okay, I can't carry this load anymore. So I think what's happened here, Spencer, you said that you stopped seeing your friends, you stopped doing your own thing. So I think what's happened, and this happens a lot, I've certainly done this. So I've been guilty as charged in the past, especially when I was in my 20s. And I see it a lot with other clients, is where we outsource every piece of our love and validation to one person. So we make one person into a village, and it's impossible for one person to carry that entire load for you. So what I mean by that, what is your village? Now, your village is your family, your friends, your work colleagues, associates, people that educate you, your coaches, your therapist, all that kind of thing. So you've taken all of those things and you've auditioned or employed your ex to do all that for you. Now, depending on someone's mental capacity or tolerance will determine how long they can do that for. So she's done that for a very long time, and I dare say that she's probably done it to you as well. I think you've bonded over trauma, and you've outsourced to each other. So rather than working on yourself, you're getting her to do it. And rather than her working on herself, she's getting you to do it. So you're exchanging traumas, you're exchanging this negative energy. Does that sound like that's a fair assessment?
Yeah. I think it was, like you say, we were just, if I had an issue, I'd go to her. If she had an issue, she'd come to me. And like, there'd be times where we just sit in bed watching TV, but we were just sort of focused on all the problems we had. And everything was just the two of us together. Like, it was always together, like, I didn't see my friends for months and months and months, and now I'm trying to rekindle my friendships, and my friends are like, well, where have you been? And it's hard. I'm trying to now develop.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to find a sort of way back.
Yeah, and rightly so. I think your friends have every right to be pissed off of you. That's okay. Now, look, I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've certainly done that before. And one thing I would say, I think you only make that mistake once, and you'll never do it again. So with your friends, and maybe you've done this already, I would say own it. Say, guys, look, yes, I was wrong. I am sorry. It won't happen again. I will do what I have to. I will do what I can to rekindle, to reconcile, to make this friendship. Yes, I'm the dickhead here. Just own it. That's the first step to healing, is owning you're being responsible for it. So yes, and don't blame it on your body dysmorphia. So no, I chose to do it. It was a choice. And if they still don't want to be around you after that, then okay, there's nothing you can do about that. You have to go and make new friends. But the person you need to make friends with, Spencer, is yourself.
Yeah.
That's the person you need to love more than anyone. So I think, look, how we treat ourselves in private is what shows up in public. Okay, so if you're constantly berating yourself, constantly telling yourself these stories about yourself, which we all do, we all have that little demon inside of our heads telling us, "Oh, you're no good, you're this, you're shit." Um, but if we're constantly listening to that little voice and we're letting it control our lives, then yeah, this kind of thing will keep happening. So I don't think it comes down to being a good or a bad person, Spencer. It comes down to what, where, and when, and why did you abandon yourself? That's the question that needs to be answered, and that's what needs healing. Now, I know this is about talking about your breakup and talking about your ex and stuff like that, and I have no doubt that you you probably do want to reconcile with her. Now, with that kind of thing, the reason I tend not to focus too much on ex-back stuff anymore is because it's going to be largely out of your control. It takes two people to get together. It takes two people to break up. It takes two people to reconcile. So the only thing we can do is to focus on you, is to get you to level up, is to get you to do the therapy, to get you to look at, well, okay, this is what I got wrong. This is my responsibility, and understanding why that happened. But at the same time, I have no doubt your ex got things wrong as well. I have no doubt that she's probably thinking, oh shit, there were things I could have done better. And yeah, from what you've told me, I'd definitely say there were things that she could have done better. But when you are telling your partner, or you're saying things to your partner like, oh, why do you want to be with me? Because I'm fat and I'm ugly and I'm this. And she's saying, well, I love you. I don't care about any of that. I love you for you. This is the man I'm choosing to be with. And now, by saying that, you are conditioning her to think the opposite to what she feels. Because if you don't love yourself, how can she? And if she doesn't love herself, how can anyone love her? Now, look, we all have those voices in our head. It's like, look, I keep myself in the gym, Spencer. I keep myself. Like, I don't really give a shit about six pack anymore. I'm way past that. I don't care. I'm not fat, but I'm not ripped at the same time. I'm healthy and I'm in shape. It's mainly for physical health and mental health. It's the antidepressant. That's why I train. So trust me, looking amazing doesn't make you happy. In fact, I think it has the opposite effect. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, feeling good in your clothes and looking good in the mirror, yes, it gives you confidence. But when you get into the extreme of it, like, okay, well, I'm going to be ripped. You know, six packs are nice and everything, but you know, you can't eat anything. You know, you have to be on a very strictly calorie controlled diet, and that's not life. So it's finding that balance. So the real issue here, I think, Spencer, it's not your body shape per se. It's your identity. Why? So where do you think that's come from? Where do you think that identity to, or that attachment to how your body looks reflects in your mental health? So did something happen when you was younger where someone said, oh, Spencer, you're fat, and that triggered something? Or are you still there?
Well, when I was a teenager, I was fat. I had like what people would describe as man boobs, and I was fat, and I remember. So basically, there was a girl, and I was in like year 10 at school, and she, I had a bit of a crush on her, and we went on a school trip away. We went to Belgium. I remember telling one of my friends, "Oh, I really fancy her," and he told her. You know, I wasn't bothered, but she said, "Oh, shame, lovely lad, but God, he's just too fat." for me. And from that day, I got really skinny when I was like a teenager. I lost loads of weight. I started exercising all the time. I got dead into running, like I mentioned earlier, and it became very important to me, like exercise. And I lost loads of weight because I didn't want to be considered the fat kid anymore. And from that day, I've had this constant battle with my physical appearance. When I was going out, when I was a bit older, like all my friends had they might get nice girls and they'd be good looking and stuff like that, and we'd go to clubs and stuff, and they'd get talk to girls and stuff, and I never felt like girls were ever interested in me. And the thing was, I started to look quite good, and even when looking, the girls just didn't seem interested in me, so I just became sort of worried that it's because of the way I look, and it's always been, everything has always revolved around the way I look. Like I'm frightened about my physical appearance and my looks. That's the issue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's not easy to share like a trauma like that. So I think that's definitely what needs the most amount of work, and that's something to talk to about your therapist with, and get into that with your therapist.
Yeah.
So okay, now these girls in the club. You said like your friends were getting the girls. It's like, were you talking to these women? Was you going up and saying, "Hey, my name's Spencer. What's your name?" How was your confidence?
I mean, even now, I don't really have any. Like, I'm scared to talk to girls. Like, I just find it hard.
So, okay, I get it. I've been there. But that's the problem. It's not your body. It's not your body. Listen, Spencer, look, right? I went bald at 21. Okay? 21, I went bald. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. Look, I've got, like, from what women tell me, I've got the right shape of head, apparently, that makes it look good. So, I've just maximized it, right? I've never been rejected for being bald. Okay. I've been rejected for not being confident. I've been rejected for maybe being too confident. I've been rejected because maybe I'm just not that woman's type, but it was never to do with my body. It was never to do with me being bald or anything like that. It's confidence. Women are attracted to the rough edges. Women are attracted to the guy that will walk up to them and say, "Hey, my name's Nick. How are you?" Or you make a funny joke, or you just strike up a conversation. I know it's hard. But one thing you have to understand, even the best looking men out there will get rejected like 60-70% of the time. Yeah, it's hard being a man in this context. It is tough. It's a numbers game. So you've got that trauma that happened when you was 18. You've associated that with every problem that you have in life, and now you had very little confidence to begin with because you was overweight. You've corrected the overweight issue, but now you still got it in your head that your body's causing your issues, when in fact it's not. It's deeper than that. It's an internal thing. It's not an external thing. That's where it is. And you've outsourced that. You've projected that onto your ex. Now, people, men and women, can only take that for so long, because look, we've all got bullshit. Look, I do therapy, Spencer. I do therapy. I'm okay admitting that. I do therapy because I have things that I have to work on, and that's okay. So if I'm dating a woman and it's getting serious and we're getting, about to become exclusive, I will tell her, "Hey, look, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not so great at, but I'm having therapy for it. I'm working on it. It's my responsibility. I'll take care of it. All right, I might need a hug every now and then, but I'm not going to put that onto you. I will deal with it." That's what a healthy masculine man does. Now, that's not easy to achieve. It's taking me years to learn that. I'm 39 now, Spencer. When I was around about your age, I was doing the same shit. Trust me. Yeah. Oh, it's my body. It's my body. Yeah, don't want me. But no, it wasn't nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do with it. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not saying go and be overweight. I'm not going to say I'm not saying go and be super skinny. I'm saying okay, you can have an average body, but if your confidence is not there, then the woman's not going to notice you. Yeah. So the way I get to women to notice me is through my sense of humor, or through my banter with them, or just having an interesting conversation because I'm well read. It's those kind of things. So it's nothing otherworldly. It's just, okay, that's another human being in front of me. I'm going to talk to her just as I would talk to anybody else. And that's it. So because you're coming from a position of scarcity, you're not coming from a position of abundance. If you're coming from a position of scarcity, you're like, oh my God, I've got to put all my hopes onto this one person. And that's kind of what's happened with your ex. But if you come to a position with abundance, okay, I'm going to go and talk to this woman because I find her physically attractive. If we don't vibe, we don't click. Okay, that's a shame, but I'll go and talk to the next one because there's like 4 billion women out there somewhere. So it's adjusting that mindset. Now that's going to take a long time, Spence. I'm not saying this is going to be an easy fix. We're talking 10 years of trauma. You need to unravel. And I mean, dude, I don't know. Look, maybe your ex comes back, maybe she doesn't. Right. But let's just play devil's advocate and let's say she does come back right now. Who's she going to find? Is she going to find the guy that leveled up, or is she going to find the guy that she dumped? That's the question. So it's great that you started therapy. It's great that you started doing extra things. You try to reconcile. But if she did come back, you've got to be in a position where you say, yeah, it's been tough, but look, I've been doing therapy. I've got back into the gym. I've put some muscle on. I've started a new job. I've been going out with my friends. I took a trip here. I'm working on my confidence. You've got to have all these things to say, right, okay, I've got the tools now. I know what I've done wrong. Thank you for the lesson. I appreciate you being there for me, and I appreciate you giving me this time and space in this lesson to go and figure this shit out. So as much as it stings, as much as it hurts, what if it was a gift? What if this was the best thing that happened to you because you don't want to go through this again? So you know now that, okay, I've got shit to work on. So she didn't dump you because of your body, mate. She didn't dump you because she stopped loving you. She dumped you because she realized, well, I'm not here to fix you. It's not, and so she's become an emotional dumping ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened, my friend. And look, it's okay. It's okay that this has happened because we don't get taught this stuff in school. We don't get taught this stuff at work. I've certainly done what you've done. I can't sit and say, oh yeah, you should do this. No, I've done it. I've been there. It's savage. But every time that happened, I leveled up. I became better. So it can be a beautiful thing if we let it be. Now, okay, I know that's not going to make you feel any better right now, but I think you already knew before this conversation what you needed to work on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Nick. I've in the last 2 months, I've been training really hard in the gym. I've lost 16 pounds in 2 months. I know that sounds a lot. That sounds a lot, but it's just purely based on the fact that when the day after she dumped me, I was devastated. Obviously, I'm still devastated now, but I just wanted a complete. I almost wanted to become a new identity straight away, and I thought, right, how can I do this? So I had really long hair. I had like a man bun. I hadn't had my hair cut for 3 years, and the first thing I did was I spoke to my hairdresser because I'd not spoken to him for 3 years, and because I was really close to him. And I said, "Can I come for a haircut?" And he did. He cut my hair, and he didn't charge me. He said, he said, "You've been through a shit thing there, but we'll try and make you better." And every 3 weeks I get my hair cut now, and I've been going to the gym. Yeah, it's really good. 6 days a week I've been going to the gym. I've been doing a lot of exercise. I've been doing a lot of strength training, but then I've been running again.
I would advise you. So look, I'm coming from my nutrition coach background. Right? I would advise you. Look, it's okay, being in the gym 6 days a week. That's helping you get through it, but you can also end up I've certainly done this where, because every breakup I've ever had, I've been in the best shape of my life because I like you, I'll go and live in the gym for like a few months kind of thing. But what can
Yeah.
happen, you can end up suppressing other emotions because you're just so invested in the gym. So then that can catch up with you later down the line. So, and also you've got to make sure your body's getting plenty of rest as well. So, it's great. Like, it's great that you're doing strength training. I think that's fantastic because let's face it, women like men with some muscle on them. It's masculine, but just try to balance that out a little bit. How tall are you?
5'9".
Okay, and how much do you currently weigh?
Well, so when I was at my heaviest, I was about 12 stone. I'm now, I'm 10 stone 9 now.
Okay, so I think you're coming down to about the weight that you should be. So I'd say between um, 10 and 11 stones probably about right. For people that don't understand stones, that's about 145 to 150 pounds. So just putting that in pounds for people. I don't know
Yeah.
what's that in kilos. What's that? 55 kilos, something like that. 55, 60 kilos, something along those lines. Yeah,
I think it's in the 60s. Yeah.
yeah. So it's something around that. Okay, so look, that's fine. Okay, that's fantastic that you're doing that. But the real the real question is, why haven't you been turning up for yourself all this time? Why is it taking a breakup for you to finally turn up for yourself? That's the question.
Mm.
So the mistake not to repeat in the future is that you can't give 100% to a romantic relationship, Spencer. You can't, because this will happen all the time. You give 50%. Now, when I tell people, it's like, oh my God, Nick, only 50%? Yes, because your partner has to put 50% in. And that's how you get 100% in a relationship, because you have to keep 50% back for yourself. Work, family, friends, hobbies, projects, personal time. You got to keep that. You cannot sacrifice yourself, your sense of self, for a romantic relationship. We do not fall in love with the person that sacrifices themselves. We fall in love with the person that has got their shit together and has got their own life. That's what we're attracted to. We're attracted to the rough edges. Now, don't get me wrong. Should you be there for your partner? Yes. Can they be the most important person in your life? Yes. But they're not the only person in your life. You have to love yourself more than you love any romantic partner. Otherwise, it will never work. It will never ever work. The love for yourself has to be unconditional. Now, I'm not saying that's every day, because we wake up, we have good days, we have bad days, and all that kind of thing. But if you only love yourself 20%, you're expecting your ex to make up the other 80. That's not sustainable. No one can do that for you. So that's where we are, my friend. Now, I don't know if your ex is going to come back. I don't know if any exes come back. I don't know. We don't know. We can't ever make. In fact, I tell people, just assume that they don't come back. I have that assumption that they will never come back, because no expectations, no disappointments, and that way we are free to focus 100% on ourselves. Okay, and then you become a better person. Then who knows? If you do level up 6 months, 12 months, and let's say she does come back, and let's imagine that, okay, she hasn't leveled up, she stayed exactly where she is. Then you're like, wow, I've done all this work on myself. You haven't. You're still in the past. I'm not attracted to this anymore, because I'm now attracting better women, better partners, better people, because you put the work in. And that's the win-win
I'll be honest,
scenario.
Nick. Sorry to interrupt you.
So, it's okay.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think she's going to come back. I think purely based on the fact that she dropped off my passport, but because she had a passport at her house, and she just put it in my letterbox, and she never put it in an envelope. She never left a note. She never nobody was in the house. It was just done, and I've not heard anything from her. She's not spoken to me. Nothing. I've not heard anything from her family. Nothing. So she's probably created a story in her mind and told people about how I was and stuff like that. and she's probably not going to come back. And you know what? That's fair enough. I'm not. In an ideal world, I should, I just wanted it to be the way it was. But that's hindsight. That's looking back, and I need to look forward now. I just want to be in a position where I'm the best version of Spencer I can ever be.
Yeah.
And I just want to be the best version of Spencer so people can go, wow, Spencer's really, like you say, leveled up.
Yeah.
But then I can then reflect on it personally for me. I go, you know what, I have leveled up. And then, maybe in 5 years' time, I might see her and she might go, wow, you became something. But then at that point, I'm in a place where I know I became something.
Yeah, and you can take it or leave it. So this is going to sound quite. I totally agree with everything. I totally agree with everything you just said, and this is going to sound controversial, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm glad she dumped you, because if she hadn't, you wouldn't be on the path to becoming better. You wouldn't be on this path right now. You'd just still be, not looking after yourself, letting your hair getting out of control, body dysmorphia, projecting, putting it onto her. That's not. Trust me, that's not a healthy relationship. It's not a happy place to be. I've been on both sides of that fence. I've been that guy. I've been that 28-year-old. Trust me, I've been there. And I've also been the guy that's been on the receiving end of that from a woman. It's not pleasant, because I've had some really great relationships that just fizzled out, and I've had some really shitty relationships that went on way longer than they should have. Now, when you just click with someone and it's healthy, and look, you're taking care of yourself, she's taking care of herself, and honestly, there's no other feeling like it. It's like, okay, wow, it shouldn't be this easy. We're just vibing, and I'm there for her, but she's managing herself, and she's there for me, but I'm managing myself. It's self-parenting, and most of us don't do it. So I'm glad. I'm glad she's done this, because she has taught you the best lesson you're ever going to learn. Ever going to learn, my friend, and that is beautiful. It's painful.
Yeah.
It's very painful. But it's beautiful, because it will get the best out of you, and you will go to places. And look, I am literally walking, living, breathing evidence of that my breakup led to me doing this. I get to speak to wonderful people like you every day. I get to do my Facebook group. I get to do my YouTube channel. I've been on adventures. I've met some great new people. I've met people through the channel that I never would have met. I mean, I'm even writing a book about breakups right now as well. So I'm getting it, looking at getting it published and stuff like that. So it's opened so many opportunities, and it put me on a path to I never would have got. I didn't even think was possible. But so I have to thank my ex for that. I didn't want the breakup. No one wants the breakup, but I was like, okay, thank you for the lesson. Thank you for teaching me this. It's the best. It's one of the best things that could have happened to me. So if we try and have that mindset about it, okay, what's the lesson here? What's the gift? Now, it's going to sting. This is going to hurt for a long time, Spence. It's going to hurt, because you're not only dealing with the pain from the breakup, you're dealing with the pain from when you was 18, from when you was overweight. That is unresolved. That's what you need to work on with your therapist. Okay? And that's going to take time. But I promise you, once you take that wounded part of you out of that little box you put it in and you stuck it under your bed, once you bring it out, you take that 18-year-old version of yourself and say, hey, I'm here. I'm going to look after you. I'm going to make you feel better. I'm going to protect you now. That's what you need to do now, is you need to bring that version of you out. Okay, I'm here. I will protect you. Because that version of you has been ignored for a very, very, very long time. You've suppressed it. And when it was coming out, so basically you getting that body dysmorphia is that version of you saying, hey, I'm still here, by the way. I need your attention right now. I need your love and attention because you've neglected me for such a long time. So let's just say your body dysmorphia is a physical representation of that trauma. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Of that 18-year-old version of yourself. And then projecting that onto your ex, she can't take it anymore. She put up with it and put up with it and put up with it. And that time away from her, something from you when she was in Australia, something just, right, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm just overloaded. And that's the thing with women. With women, it's all about emotional attraction. If the emotional attraction falls below 50%, they will leave. Because what women look for in a man, they look for protection, leadership, positive masculinity. That is on his purpose. That's what women are attracted to. Now, there are plenty of people out there that will disagree with me, but I'm speaking from pure biology here, so I don't care what people think. This is facts. This is science. That's what women are attracted to. They look for security. They don't feel secure in the relationship. No, look, I'm not saying you have to do it like 100% of the time, but 80% of the time, yeah, you've got to be there. There's going to be 20% of the time you're going to be down. There's going to be 20% of the time, okay, you have to be in your feminine to support her with something feminine. But most of the time, yeah, you have got to be the guy that she feels safe with. And at the start, she felt safe with you. Yeah, but then that 18-year-old version of you came out, that young boy that didn't feel safe, that had no confidence, came out. And that's what's happened. So does that make sense?
It does. It does. It's
Okay.
It explains a lot, Nick, and I think everything you're saying is true, and it means a lot to hear it from like I say, an external, source, because it means to me that there's somebody there that understands what I've said, but not only understood what I've said, you've made it clear to me what I need to do.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that you're being open, receptive to the feedback that's coming back, because it's hard for someone. It's hard for you to go to a complete stranger and say, "Hey, look, strip me down to my bare bones and tell me what's wrong." But that's a true gift, and that's a true powerful thing, because it's like you're now saying, okay, I do not want to feel this way anymore. Please tell me what to do. And when I went through my breakup and I hired my breakup coach, and he did the same, he stripped me down bare and said, right, okay, I know you're hurting, but get the fuck up and walk through that door. Go and do what you got to do. And that's where you are. So, and look, there are millions of other men out there and women that go through this shit every day. So it's not just you. We've all got our baggage, and it's okay. You can carry your baggage. You can have your baggage, but don't let your baggage have you. That's okay. You've got to take care of your own baggage. So, before we wrap up, Spence, I just want to ask you, outside of work, outside of gym and stuff like that, I know you're trying to rebuild your social life. What do you have any hobbies?
So I collect Adidas trainers.
Nice.
It's a bit of a bad habit, to be honest, because it's an expensive one.
Okay.
But I love. So I've got 48 pairs of Adidas original trainers.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a bit obsessed with them. I'm also I love football. I go to football, so I try and I like.
You play
I don't
footy?
play anymore. No, not anymore. I used to play. I played for a long time, but I just knocked it on the head because I wanted to focus on the gym and stuff. I found that every time I played five-a-side or something like that, I'd get cropped, and then I'd end up not being able to play. So I've just sort of taken a step back.
All right. Okay. What I'm going to challenge you to do, I'm going to challenge you to do actually a few things. One, find a hobby where you have to leave the house and you have to go somewhere and be with people. Don't care what it is. Something maybe you've always wanted to do but didn't have the time or didn't have the courage to do it. I just want you to go and do something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Now, I said this a ton on my channel and my Facebook group. For me, it was going to music school and learning the drums. I had to go and put myself in an uncomfortable situation where I've got to learn something very hard and I've got to be around new people. Best thing I did in my breakup, because that 1 hour a week or that 2 hours a week, I was able to switch off, not think about my breakup, and apply myself to something new and have fun doing it and meet new people. So I don't care what the hobby is. Just sit down, think about it. Right, no, I'm going to go and do that on a Saturday or a Sunday or wherever it is.
Yeah.
Secondly, highly encourage you to volunteer somewhere. Doesn't matter where it is: dog shelter, homeless kitchen, soup kitchen, local library, local community center, go and volunteer somewhere 1 or 2 hours a week, because giving back, helping people is one of the best things you can do in your community. And it's also one of the things that will make you feel amazing. And also, guess what? You have to meet new people. So there's a theme here: meeting new people, getting out of the comfort zone. Okay. Also, I am going to recommend 1 or 2 books for you. Do you read books or do you listen to audiobooks?
Yeah, I have. I'm a big fan of Mark Manson.
Yeah, me too.
He's. I think he's. I think he's. I just wish I could have his mindset. So I'm
You
fascinated
can,
by him.
you,
So
you can have his mindset. He didn't start off with the mindset that he has. He developed it over years and years and years of saying, right, okay, this doesn't work for me. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go and change it. Yeah, just like everybody else. I didn't have the mindset that I have today 10 years ago. I'm completely different. Now I literally have, I do not care what you think about me attitude. If you like me, great. If not, I won't lose any sleep over it. That's for men, that's for women, anybody else. Doesn't happen overnight. Okay. But I am going to recommend a book for you called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. Okay.
okay.
I think every man should read this book. Okay. It will teach you a lot. If there's one book that probably fundamentally changed my life, it's that and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, the Mark Manson book.
Yeah.
Definitely say, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Essential reading for men.
Okay.
Essential. Okay. So get on that. Right. Okay. So given everything I've said, I don't want you to start making huge changes, just minor changes. So do you think you can find a new hobby and volunteer somewhere? Do you think that's doable?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not afraid to tell you this hobby not hobby, but something I want to do. I actually I want to learn to sing, because I
Do
think
it.
singing, it's a good way to express your feelings. I might do
Do
singing
it.
lessons.
Do it. Don't say I might. Say I will.
Yeah, I will.
Because when people say I might, they've already talked themselves out of it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. You
I
have.
will. I will do
Yeah.
singing lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good. Just go to a local. I don't care where it is. Just make sure it's in a group. I want you to do it in a group. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can do one to one. You can do one to one later. I do one to one drumming lessons with my coach, and she's fucking amazing. I love her to bits because she's such a good coach. Right, but when I first started, I started off in a school where there was multiple people there. Okay, so you got to go and be with new people. You've got to get out of the comfort zone. This is how, if you want to develop confidence, you've got to learn to swim in the deep end with the sharks. That's how you develop confidence. How I developed confidence talking to women, it was just like if I saw someone I was attracted to in Starbucks or a shop or whatever, I was like, hey, how's your day? And I'll talk, like, I wasn't going there with the aim of getting a date. It's just like, no, I'm just practicing my tools to talk to women. So when the opportunity does come up and a date would present itself, okay, I know how to talk to women because I've talked to 100 good-looking women behind the counter at Starbucks, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So that's another thing you can do when you go to say, hey, how's your day? Just start from there. Does it? And they would probably be very appreciative that you've asked about their day. And who knows what can happen? Maybe she likes you. Maybe, oh yeah, this Spencer guy comes in every other day. I really like talking to him. Maybe he's going to ask me out. I'm not saying that's the case, and that shouldn't be your intention. But what I'm saying is it just helps you develop that skill set. Yeah. So
yeah,
here's the thing, my friend. You've been too damn comfortable. All this
yeah.
time, you're too comfortable. You have to get out of the comfort zone now. All right.
Okay.
So think about that. That new hobby, definitely. The singing, it's great. I love it. I'm all for it. Go and do it. Okay. But don't stop there. Okay. Don't stop there. There's a website called meetup.com where it's got like loads of different groups like photography, football, whatever. They all meet up like and talk about that thing or do that activity. That's a great place to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just those kind of
Okay.
things, man. So now it's okay, how do I build the best single life that I can build. Who is she? If she comes back, who is she going to find?
She's going to find the best version of Spencer.
There you go. And there you go. And then you can sit back and like, okay, if you do want to reconcile, I've been doing all this wonderful stuff and leveling up for the last 6 months. What have you been doing? Because I've had to evolve. I've had no choice but to do that. But also my expectations have changed. My standards have changed. So what have you been doing? Have you evolved? And then you can say, no, I'm good. Because I've had many women dump me over the years, Spence, and they've come back and I've leveled up. I'm like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Because like I've had to go and do all this. I see where I went wrong. Thank you for that. No hard feelings. But you don't quite meet my minimum requirements for a relationship anymore. And that, it's not about getting revenge. It's just about, okay, I heard you. I agree. Yeah, I messed up. Thank you for telling me. And that's how we do it, my friend. But it's going to hurt, man. It's going to keep up the therapy.
Yeah.
Keep up the exercise. I mean, look, long walks did a lot for me. I used to walk for like 2-3 hours at a time, just listening to an audio book or whatever. Do you keep a journal?
I do. I've got it's more sort of I'm using it more as a mood chart more than anything at the moment. So I'm just like,
okay.
if I feel like there's something on my mind, I just try and write it down.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
But I'll be honest. Recently, I've been quite busy at work. I've not really had the time. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses up, but I need to really get back into it, and I know I need to get back into it.
Well, yeah, okay. Now, I'm going to sound like a complete dick here, but when most people tell me they don't have the time, my first question is, okay, if I was to get your phone out and look at how much screen time that you've been on it, what's it going to tell me? Because if it's saying like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, you have the time. It's just you're not prioritizing what is good for you. Most people have the time. Now, Spence, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. I have a full-time job outside of this. I can work 18-hour days, no problem. So I'm a project manager by day. I do YouTube and I coach you guys as well as my Facebook group. I have the time. It's just I have to choose to prioritize it. That's what is going to the gym as well and keeping up with my friends. We all have the same amount of time. It's just where we prioritize it. Now, not trying to compare your life to mine. Okay, no doubt you work a lot, a lot of hours and stuff like that. But you have to sort of be in the mindset of like, no, I will give this time to myself first. I will pay myself first. I have to be there for myself first. Yeah. That's where it has to be. So for me, that kind of looks like, no, I don't care what happens in the morning. I'm going to the gym. I'll be in the gym at 5 a.m. before work. Now, it sucks. I'm not saying that's for everybody. But I know I know the consequences if I don't go to the gym. I know I'm going to get depressed. I know I will lose my shape in my body. I know I won't be as productive. So it's a case of like, okay, where am I prepared to take the pain so I can have a better tomorrow? Okay. Now, I'm almost certain with almost anybody, most people, we can find another 1 or 2 hours throughout the day because they're on Facebook or they're on Instagram, or on Snapchat, or on TikTok too much, or on YouTube too much. So think about that. How much time are you spending on your phone compared to, okay, can I spare 10 minutes to journal?